Alright, what is going on, guys? This Saturday is UFC 308, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. I'm going to be going over the entire main card and giving my thoughts and opinions on each fight, if they're relevant or not, and we're going to be saying at the end if you should buy UFC 308, or if you should pass on buying UFC 308. So, as you can see right here, they have kind of a weird start time. It does take place in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi. I think that's Abu Dhabi. Am I tripping? Yeah, fuck, I don't know. It's over there in the fucking desert somewhere, as Johnny Walker would say. So we have an early start time. We have I believe it's a 10 a.m. Eastern start time for the prelims, and then the main card starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. Anyway. Let's start with the first fight on the main card. We have Shermagomedov versus Armen Petrosyan. So Shermagomedov, kind of up-and-coming, middleweight, has zero grappling ability, essentially, but very good on the feet, very good kicks, very good striking, has a lot of hype behind him. You know, before he got into the UFC, I think maybe he had a contract, but he didn't have a fight yet. There was that video going around of him, like, knocking a guy out in a mall over in fucking Russia or something like that. So he already had some hype behind him before he even got in the UFC. Armen Petrosyan kind of got some wins and some losses in the UFC. Not a complete trash can, so like a decent level opposition. So this is definitely a good fight for the middleweight division, at least for Shermagomedov. If he could get past Armen Petrosyan, maybe one or two more fights, he needs to develop his ground game a little better and his takedown defense better. This is definitely a good fight, though. Good fight, solid fight, and there's really nothing. I mean, maybe you could have threw Jeff Neal and RDA opening up the pay-per-view, and you could have had Shermagomedov versus Armen Petrosyan headlining the prelims. That would be really my only other fight on this card that I think you could throw on the pay-per-view instead. But nonetheless, good fight. Moving up. Next, we have Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. Essentially, this is a number one contender fight for the light heavyweight division. Who's going to be fighting Alex Pereira next? So very, very important fight. You have Alexander Rakic. I think he's on like a 3-fight losing streak, something like that. Last fight was dogging Yuri Prochazka, but Yuri Prochazka is Yuri Prochazka, and he's just marching forward at Rakic, taking the beating, and then throwing it back at him, and eventually finishing Rakic. With Magomed Ankalaev, he arguably already deserves the fight for the belt, but for whatever reason, they're making this matchup. And if you look, I have the light heavyweight division rankings right here. If you look, they got Magomed Ankalaev ranked number 1 above Yuri. There's really not a whole lot of people that are clear number 1 contenders outside of Magomed Ankalaev for the next for Alex Pereira. So we have Magomed Ankalaev. He's beat Yuri twice. He's beat Jamal Hill. He's beat Jan Blachowicz. He hasn't fought Rakic, but Rakic is on a losing streak. You have Nikita Krylov, who I think he's fighting this guy, if I remember correctly. Maybe 1 or 2 more wins. If Pereira beats Ankalaev, there's really nobody else. But anyway, so you got Krylov on a winning streak, you got Ozdemir on a winning streak, and you got Olberg coming up. Other than that, everybody else is kind of down there. So arguably, there's really nobody else. The winner of Ankalaev and Rakic is next for the belt. So very, very important fight on UFC 308. Moving up, we have Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. I really wish Dan Ige could have got a better matchup, especially after the favor he did for the UFC in his last fight, taking the Diego Lopez fight on like 3 hours notice. You got Lerone Murphy. I was going to say young, but I think he's like 30. I think he's old. Like, he's not young. He's not young. Let's see if we can... I'm being stupid. Let's see if we... I can't remember if they have his age on here or not. They don't have his age on here, but I'm pretty sure he's at least 30. If not old, like a little bit older. Anyway, regardless. You kind of got Dan Ige. He's always been... or not always, but he has been for a long time in that like 15 to 10 ranked in the featherweight division. Never really been able to crack upwards of that. And you got Lerone Murphy, who's just way more well-rounded, in my opinion, than Dan Ige. But it's still a great fight. This is a great fight. You know, it kind of propels one or the other more towards the top of the division. Very meaningful fight for the featherweight division. So I would say it's a solid fight. Moving up. Co-main event. You have Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev for what they're advertising as a number one contender fight for the middleweight title. So if we go and we look at the middleweight rankings, Dana White has said Sean Strickland will be fighting next in the rematch versus Dricus du Plessis. You know, sometime in maybe the beginning of next year. So if we take Strickland out of the equation, they're going to fight. You got Nasruddin Imavov, but he doesn't have, and you got Kyle Borralho, which what I think they should do is have those two fight, and then the winner of Chimaev and Whittaker will fight the winner of Strickland du Plessis, and then whoever wins that can fight the winner of Nasruddin Imavov versus Kyle Borralho, because you don't really have anybody else towards the top of the division. You know, Izzy needs at least 2 more wins, I would say, before he could get a title shot. So, very meaningful fight. Whoever's winning this fight is fighting for the belt after Strickland. But honestly, I could see if Khamzat wins, which I think that's where they're kind of slightly hesitant. Dana White seems slightly hesitant when he's saying Strickland's next. I think if Khamzat wins, they definitely want to get Khamzat Chimaev as a champion. He's got so much hype from him for win on that like active streak, and then he got sick a bunch, and now he's kind of been inactive the last 2 years. So hopefully, if he gets the win over Robert Whittaker, he'll become more active like he was before, fight consistently, and it would be very exciting to see that. So very meaningful fight, number one contender fight for the middleweight division. Moving up, doesn't get more relevant than this. Right here, we have a title fight. Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway for the featherweight title. You can't get more important than a title fight. You have Ilia Topuria brutally knocking out Alexander Volkanovski. I was very sad when that happened. I wanted Volk to win so bad. And you have Max Holloway, who, you know, in recent memory, the only person he's lost to at featherweight is Alexander Volkanovski. So can Max Holloway, who, you know, we'll say definitely in the top 5 featherweights of all time. You know, you got Aldo, you got Volk, you got Holloway, and Topuria, and then you got McGregor in there, like, at the end, just because of the double champ status that he achieved. So you can't get more exciting or more important than a title fight, especially this title fight. Max Holloway always comes to fight. Ilia Topuria over-improving every fight after fight. I'm very excited for this fight. So, if we take in all these fights are meaningful and important to their respective divisions. So I'm going to give it a rating, and then I'm going to give it a should you buy. So I'm giving UFC 308, man, if I can freaking talk, I'm giving UFC 308 an 8 out of 10 rating, and I definitely think you should buy UFC 308. The only thing I would do to improve it, I think I would swap this and this, and maybe a little bit better fight than Laura Murphy. Like if it had, what was canceled off this card? Aljo and Movsar. If Aljo and Movsar was on the pay-per-view, and then you had Jeff Neal RDA opening up the pay-per-view, and Shermagomedov Arman Petrosian headlining the prelims, I would give this card a 10 out of 10. This would be a great card. 8 out of 10 is still very good. Definitely buy this pay-per-view. Let me know in the comment section down below. Will you be... Never mind. Buy the pay-per-view. Don't watch it any other way. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't subscribed. Drop a like on this video. Let me know who do you think is going to win in the main event in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.